Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Dill. Sunday afternoon, and we get a fresh batch of the AP Poll Top 25. A lot of statements that were made, and I want to get into this conversation with a little bit of a lens of what the rankings might look like Tuesday night from the College Football Playoff Committee. I am fascinated with what we see from BYU at 11, Vanderbilt at 12, Miami at 13, and Utah at 14. Like, how does the committee pick those teams apart? At least what I'm most interested in heading into Tuesday night's rankings. We're going to spray the board here. Got a lot to talk about before we do, and as always, as the season winds down, I can't say how much fun I've had doing these top 25 breakdowns. The amount of support, the amount of feedback that many of y'all put in the comment section, it's a blast every single Sunday afternoon. We appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Much more importantly, let it rip in the comment section. Dill, I'm going to put you on the spot right here. Biggest statement that was made over the weekend here.
Probably Oregon, kind of reaffirming that they're maybe in that tier one. Like, are we starting, maybe you add Oregon and Georgia kind of back into that like top tier mix, and maybe Ole Miss belongs there too, frankly. So
No.
like, I wonder, do you think Oregon, Georgia, Ole Miss maybe are starting to close a little bit of the gap that I felt like I'd maybe perceived there was between them and the top three?
I think so. I think that's fair to say. You know, for a while it was Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and it felt like that was a pretty clear top three. The way Georgia has played, Georgia's going to be in that tier. Now, they might be 4, but I do think they're in that tier. And again, the Kirby Smart pedigree, that matters right now going into the playoffs. Oregon at 5. It's the question we've been asking about this football team really since the season kicked off. And that is, I don't really care what Oregon looks like in September. What are they going to look like in November? This is a very young football team that has a lot of young talent playing at different positions. And Dill, I'm going to say this. There is another level that I think Oregon can reach. And I, quite frankly, was really impressed with what you saw from them against USC. They won in all 3 phases, right? The defense came up with some stops. And I'm going to say this real quick about USC. Like, they just got some guys. Like, Jaden made some really good throws. Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane and freshman to no kinds, they're just gamers, and they made some plays. Oregon was able to run the football. Dante played a clean football game. They excelled in special teams as well. And that's without DeCorian Moore. That's without Evan Stewart. That's without Dill, their best offensive lineman, or at least one of their best offensive linemen in Isaiah World. You lost your starting center Poncho in the first half of that game. This is an Oregon team that I'll say this. I think it's fair to have them at 5. I don't think they have a resume that makes them a top 4 team. They're a team that can win a national championship.
That's what I was almost like. Their resume is not great, if we're being honest. They haven't played a particularly difficult schedule. Penn State being what they've been. Yep. Not particularly ideal maybe for the resume standpoint, but that USC game, that was a really complete game that I think kind of woke me back up, because even like some of the games before, it felt like offense a little bit out of sorts, still trying to almost find what they're going to be offensively. Are they going to lean into the run game? Are they going to try to be like a spread them out pass team? I think they've kind of found their rhythm a little bit in really good balance now. I just love where they're at.
It's a really complete football team, man. Like, they don't have a ton of flaws. They got a quarterback that you can win a national championship with. They got a run game that you can win a national championship with. They're going to get their difference makers back on the boundary that you can win a national championship with. Bear Alexander continues to be a really good football player, and they got a secondary that maybe struggled a little bit against USC, but I mean, the USC made some plays.
I was like, were they like playing poorly, or was Jacoby Lane just?
That is a problem in this sport. I'm gonna say, like, I fall into this category all the time. Like, I like to point out, like, my team stinks. My team's not making plays. When it's sometimes like the other team has good football players that make plays, and that was the case with USC. USC's not a very complete football team. There's a reason they're a top 20 team in the country. I mean, Jacoby Lane, Mekhi Lemon, Jaden, some of the best players in the sport right now. All right, I'll give you one. Michigan finally feels like they put out a game, and I know it was against Maryland, that resembled a team that is capable of beating Ohio State, but more importantly, resembled a team that belongs in the college football playoff conversation. We've had Michigan in these top 20 of the rankings really all season long. They've never really felt like a playoff team. The way Bryce Underwood played, the emergence of Andrew Marsh, it feels like a team that is at least now deserving of being in that playoff conversation. And it feels like a team that, hey, if some things come together, got an opportunity to beat Ohio State at home this weekend.
Yeah, I would 100%. It is the first complete game Michigan's played, especially again, maybe you could
against
say
Washington.
New Mexico or whatever, like those early
Washington
games.
was a good one.
But even that, it's like, I don't know, they kind of played with it for basically 3 quarters. Like they definitely stepped on it a little bit in the fourth, but like wire to wire, score every time you touch the ball, don't punt, play good defense. Like we haven't seen that from Michigan at all. And they executed in like the margins. And that's been a huge problem, obviously. Really good in the red zone, really good on third down. Those marginal kind of like stats, if you will, that ultimately do allow you to put teams into the ground, if you will. Michigan finally showed that they can play a full 60 minutes of playing that sort of way.
Are you buying into Texas having a shot to beat Texas A&M?
Oh, they have a shot to beat them. I don't necessarily think they will, but Texas, like, lest we forget, that's still as much NFL talent on a college roster as there is in the country. They're certainly capable, and honestly, Arch Manning's playing good enough football to give him a shot. I don't love the fact that they can't run the ball, and physically they really
That's a
struggle
problem, man. That's good. That's going to be a problem in that game. Right.
But Arch is giving him a shot now because he's playing more confidently, and I liked kind of the rhythm they now have in their passing attack.
All right, can I ask you a question here? This could be a question, right? All right, what if Michigan beats Ohio State this weekend? What if Texas beats Texas A&M this weekend? What if Vanderbilt goes on the road and beats Tennessee? And what if Miami goes on the road and beats a top 25 Pitt team? Pick 2 teams that should be in the college football playoffs of that group.
It's probably Michigan and Vandy, I would think. And again, I think that immediately gives Michigan the best win in all the country.
Yep.
It'd be really tough to keep Michigan out. Vandy and Miami, then it comes argument time for me, let's say.
Yeah.
And I still have Texas outside looking in. Like they'll still have their 3 losses. I don't know if it'll be enough if they beat A&M.
Yep.
But Michigan's the only one that I'd argue fully controls their own destiny. Like there's no shot Michigan stays out of this thing if they beat Ohio State Saturday. I don't think, at least.
I think that's probably the right way of looking at it, because then you look at their losses: a top 20 USC team on the road and a top 10 Oklahoma team on the road. What are the teams that concern you the most going into the last weekend of the season? Specifically, the teams that are in the top 10. You know, the teams that have an at-large bid as we speak right now. What are the teams that concern you the most of potentially dropping out of the college football playoffs?
I'm going to say Bama and Ole Miss. I think the Ole Miss, like, chaos around. I think Ole Miss are a really good team, but I don't love what Lane Kiffin's kind of
me neither,
the spot he's putting that team in.
Look, the Lane Kiffin story was like cool at for now. I kind of getting a little old, man. Like, you got a team to coach that's currently in the college football playoffs, and we just want to troll on Twitter. That's all we want to do.
So to me, it's like they play a really bad game against Florida, like very beatable. If Florida could just play offense at a decent level, which they clearly cannot really, I don't know. I'm a little concerned. I think Mississippi State can at least score, and they give a chance to put some game pressure into that, which, again, I'm concerned with where Ole Miss is at. I just think like he's created a wake of chaos that they're probably.
And look, the committee will be looking for a reason to drop Ole Miss out. You might say, "Oh, 2-loss Ole Miss team, they'll still get in. They won't drop behind Oklahoma." I don't think so either. Especially if Lane Kiffin decides to leave, like they'll look for a reason to knock Ole Miss out. I believe, and it's a Mississippi State team that like had Texas on the brinks, had Tennessee on the brinks. This is not a good Mississippi State team, but it's a feisty, competitive Mississippi State team. And it's a rivalry game. We all know how these games go. We've been a part of it. We've all been following the sport long enough. I'll give you one. Oklahoma and Bama, to me. I feel like Notre Dame's just rock solid. They ain't losing to Stanford. Or the top 5 is pretty cemented. Even if the top 5 teams lose, I don't think they will drop out of the playoffs. Let me start with Oklahoma. It's like the Spider-Man meme, Dill. Like LSU and Oklahoma are about to go head-to-head. They both can't really score on offense consistently, but both have really good defenses. Like, why was I a little bit concerned about Oklahoma playing host to Missouri this week is that they don't really have an offense that can pull away. Now, they hit a few explosive plays that allowed them to kind of pull away. Do you think Oklahoma can pull away from LSU this weekend? What's your confidence level? I think Oklahoma will win, but it's not a game that I'm overlooking either.
Pull away? Probably not, because you said it. Oklahoma's offense just isn't playing that way right now. And again, I think both LSU and Oklahoma can be explosive theoretically. LSU, though, my God, they're not playing very good
I'm kind
football.
of out.
Like that.
Yeah.
I'm like looking. I think Auburn, honestly, think has a better shot of beating Alabama than LSU does Oklahoma, because LSU is just playing some wildly uninspired football, and that offense, it's just really
that's the thing is, like, do I trust Oklahoma to score on LSU? Not a ton.
But they'll score enough. I think they'll comfortably get to 14. And honestly, do I see LSU getting past 6? No, not really.
Did they get what was the 13 to 10?
I think it's 13-10.
So I didn't even get past 14 at home against Western Kentucky. Like, it could. We'll see.
And that was with like DJ Pickett getting a pick in like their own red zone.
Bad.
Or something.
It's really bad. We had that game
offense. It's irretrievably broken.
Yeah.
I don't really see how they move the ball at all against Oklahoma.
Alabama's the other one. I would agree with that.
And they're probably more like that line is telling you something. That's a really tight line. Deuce Newcott's out there for Auburn. That's really.
Let me paint the picture. We just did this preview. It is an Auburn team that is really, really good against the run and can impact quarter. Like, they got NFL guys on their defensive line. They're top 5 in the country against the run. Now, Alabama has to go on the road with no semblance of a run game. They haven't been able to run the football worth a damn. I don't think they're going to figure it out on the road against the top 5 rushing defense in the country. Okay, so Ty Simpson got to drop back and throw the football 40 to 50 times against an Auburn pass rush that can get after you in so many different ways. And we know what DJ Durkin can do, dialing up some pressure. Like, do I trust Auburn to win in this spot? Hugh Freeze ain't on the sideline, so maybe I got a little bit more confidence.
DJ Durkin's got the same issue. They should have beaten Vanderbilt. They obviously couldn't make it happen, close it out. Auburn, to me, there is not winning in that blood necessarily, but they have a much better shot of making that game interesting.
What if Deuce Knight? Wait, what about this Deuce Knight injected a little winning to you? It's something you just need a spark.
I think all of college football is hoping he goes out there because at least it gives you like a shred of hope. To me, maybe because he's a playmaker like that. Yeah. Again, I know it was Mercer, and I'm not trying to like make a world out of that necessarily, but it was really fun the way he was playing, the way he can run and make guys miss.
It feels like Ashton Daniels / Jackson Arnold. You just don't have enough there. Deuce Knight. Look, could there be some mistakes and then maybe Alabama wins by 21? Yeah, maybe. But I think he gives you the juice that you're going to need to knock off a top 10 team. And you just try something different, man. Like, just try something different. You're 1-0 with Deuce Knight starting. I don't care if it's Mercer. All right. Teams
do you think anyone else? I don't even see any of these being games, honestly, aside from those. I think A&M certainly going to be a game. I think Ole Miss
but I think
Alabama could be.
I don't know if it matters with Texas. Like, they lose, they're still in the
That's a good point. They're not in danger at all of leaving.
Yeah. Oregon's an interesting one. Like, if they drop it on the road against Washington, I'd be like, maybe.
They're in trouble. They're out of the playoffs. But I like Oregon. I like that matchup for Oregon. I think they're so much more athletic. I think they can cover Washington up, and to me I think that's a really good matchup. Like, is Washington going to be able to stop that rushing attack?
Washington's kind of similar to USC, if we're being honest. Like, they got a dynamic core. I think USC's better.
Maybe like USC junior or something.
Yeah, like a Walmart version of USC where it's like, I'm not sure if I trust the full team, but I kind of trust the firepower on offense, I think. Although that's kind of petered out a little bit. I think Jedd Fisch got his head somewhere else. I'm not getting the vibe that Jedd Fisch going to be back at Washington.
I'm kind of with you.
What's the team that you have most confidence finding their way into the playoffs that's outside of the top 10? I got one. I'm gonna take it because you don't have an answer.
I don't honestly see it. I think it's gonna stay a little chalked.
All right, that's a lame answer. I got a fun answer for you. Miami at 13 right now. I'm interested to see where the committee puts them. I think that is a dynamite matchup for Miami. Like Pitt, although ran the football against Georgia Tech, has not been able to run the football all year. They struggle in pass protection. They want to throw the football a lot. That is a very difficult pass rush to deal with, and Pitt doesn't have very good offensive line. I think there's a chance for Miami to go. Now, Pitt's defense is good, right? So I don't know how much is Miami going to score is to be determined. I think that's a matchup where Miami can maybe go on the road and win by a couple scores. And maybe the last statement necessary for the committee, because I do think there's probably some people in the committee that are like, well, if Miami's looking like that, they're hard to leave out of the playoffs. And as they get closer to Notre Dame, all of a sudden
that's like in Hunter Yurichik's already said it. Like if they force that game, or if they pull them into the pot or whatever the hell they say about that, like if they get themselves to a point of comparison with Notre Dame, like if they say like the games on the field matter, it's really hard to go 2-loss Miami, 2-loss Notre Dame, where Miami's win.
I will say this though, because I'm in a conundrum, because Miami feels like a playoff team to me. I also don't really want to get up here and bang the table for Notre Dame not to make
it. That's the other, like the eyeball test. Notre Dame's really playing a lot better football than Miami right now.
Yeah,
more consistent for sure.
And they're just two teams that I think I'll come out and say, like, I'd rather see Notre Dame in Miami than BYU, in my opinion, right? I want to give a shout out real quick to Tennessee. Like, I think they hosted it. The Vanderbilt Tennessee game is going to be awesome, by the way. I was just wrong, and that you want to talk about one of the best head coaches in the sport. You're looking at him with Josh Heupel. Like with the success he's already had at Tennessee, and then you combine that with the fact that they had just an absolute perfect storm of off-the-field garbage that happened in the offseason, most notably with Nico, but then also Boo Carter, and they had to replace a lot.
That's the biggest.
Weathering
how they were able to reload, and again, some of the cosmetic, Nico's not cosmetic, but some of the other stuff I feel like is a little bit surfacey.
Sure,
the way they replaced that front seven and all the production they kind of
lost, the offensive line,
and dealt with some of those injuries. I mean, you're down your two best secondary players pretty much all year. To be a really competitive football team, wire to wire. You said like Josh Heupel, like. I mean, he's up there. He might be knocking on my door, a top 5 coaches in the sport.
I wouldn't disagree. I mean, there's a difference between coaches that can strike while the iron's hot and have a good roster 1 year, and then it's 4 years until they got another good roster. And there's a difference between Mike Norvell is straight up bad in my opinion, but there's other teams that, like they'll have a good roster every once in a while and they'll bang, and then they'll be back to, maybe 8-4, 7-5.
Yeah.
The difference between those coaches and the elite ones that can just reload, and it doesn't really matter who's on their roster, they're going to figure it out. And Josh Heupel was quickly becoming that kind of guy for me. I heard, and I this is irresponsible of me, but we're not like media members or anything, so I'm going to say, I heard like Josh Heupel getting thrown around.
It's much more would he leave? Like, I think, honestly, I'd probably take him over Lane Kiffin if we're being perfectly honest. I just think Tennessee's a better job. Like, Josh Heupel doesn't need to go anywhere to go win a national championship. Tennessee, to me, like, they've given him kind of the firepower and the ammo and the resources to be really good, and he has used it and made Tennessee really good. I think Josh Heupel, like, why leave for Florida to go rebuild? You got
Tennessee feels like a very intriguing team to me. Well, there's like a lot of chaos in the SEC. Like even you can outside of like Georgia, like, where's Texas going to be the next 3 years, and where's LSU and Florida going to be, and Auburn going to be? Tennessee, Texas A&M, those 2 programs feel like the programs where they're like
they're recruiting that way, they're developing that, like they got things humming, I feel like for the most part, and like they're operating well.
I wanted to give here's the last thing. I think it's intriguing to see where Pitt ends up in the playoffs rankings. So don't forget the playoff rankings, they had Pitt much higher than consensus before they lost to Notre Dame. With Pitt going on the road and beating Georgia Tech, do they sneak Pitt back in like to the top 20, like high teens? Because then all of a sudden, like that Miami win might look really damn good. That's a storyline too. All right, pause it there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. Let it fly in the comment section if y'all do enjoy the content. Consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.